My name is Helen Goldman. I live in Sutton, and I'm a Holocaust survivor. When the war broke out in 1939, my friend came running and said, "History will write about us." Little did she realize what kind of history will write about us. Well, in 1939, I was 13. I finished the war in 1942, when I was 16. The young years. The war was very quickly finished with Poland. The Germans came in about 2 weeks' time. They were already in Sądowa Wiśnia, which was a small town. Before the war, it belonged to Poland. After the war, it's now part of Ukraine. The Germans stayed with us about 2 weeks, and they sorted out their pact with Ukraine, and they left. On the way of leaving, they took 18 people who were working on the roads and shot them. It was the first introduction to German occupation. From one family, there were 2 brothers who were killed. And in June 1941, the war broke out between Russia and Germany, and the Germans arrived. And they straight away started introducing the law of separating the Jews, of wearing special armbands. In October 1942, the Germans made Sądowa Wiśnia Judenfrei, so they collected all the Jews. The action lasted 2 days, and they collected the Jews and took us by walking to the railway station. And we were all hoping that we are going to work in a camp and at least be fed. So there was very little opposition. And we were landed in the station, and there I met my 2 sisters, my grandmother and my aunt, and we were together in the train going north. I know we passed Lwów because at night the train stopped and we were going past Lwów. My aunt then suggested, because my mother was in a different hiding place and she wasn't there, so she suggested that I go out and tell her when we are going. I didn't know myself where I'm going, but whether this was her suggestion or my instinct for survival, I jumped out of the train. It was quite dangerous. When they slowed down, they were shooting around and there were few people killed while jumping. I survived, and I was sitting in potato growth and waited until the train moved away. And I went to see my father, that I saw him going out to work from the concentration camp in Lwów. And the people who met me at that time knew much more than I, because they had stories from the night before, what was going on. It was extermination. About 3 hours lasted the train, which cleared up. So they knew all about it, and they were crying, seeing me. And I then went back to my aunt, took off my band, and went with the train to Sądowa. At that time, they were collecting Polish girls, about 60, and sending them with a group to work in Germany. And then I joined. The daughter of the household that I worked was one of the girls who was going to Germany. And I said, "You know what, we'll go to the Arbeitsamt and I'll go instead of you to Germany," because I thought it was safer. And we went to this Arbeitsamt, which he had a demand from Berlin, from a family, to get them a Ukrainian girl to work in their house. And he was being fed with butter and meat by the Ukrainian girl who didn't want to go to Berlin, because Berlin was at that time very much bombarded. So he gave me the documents, and he gave me an address where to go in Berlin. And I traveled through Warsaw. When the war broke out between Russia and Germany, and they went away to Germany, and I didn't want to go with them because I was afraid that somebody will recognize me. So I stayed in Krasnodar. This was another terrible experience because the soldiers were just looking for girls, and it was nightmarish. Eventually, I managed to get to West Poland and from there to Czechoslovakia, which is not far from Auschwitz. I didn't know anything about Auschwitz. I've learned a lot. I know that it's very difficult to talk about the Holocaust, especially if your memories are very fresh and very comprehensive. It's very difficult to make sense of it all, but we ought to talk about it so we know what has happened to us and to other people nowadays. So let's hope that people are aware to prevent it happen again.